Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. We're taking a look at AMP. This is a highly requested recommendation from my community, so thank you so much for asking that to cover this here today. And this is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. Now we're taking a look at, again, AMP, and we're just going to look at the technical charts. So there's no fundamentals here, and just know I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research. Furthermore, if you'd like $25 in Bitcoin from Voyager application, link in the description below. I will have a Telegram signal group here moving forward, so be on the lookout for that within about a week here. That's part of my premium Patreon account, so feel free to show your support there as well. Furthermore, I also have a Telegram community, fantastic group of folks. Please get in there and engage and learn as much as you can, because that's why we're all here together, right? I want to teach you to trade for a lifetime, not just for one day. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at AMP. And this is a big request that I've gotten recently from my subscribers. So thank you so much again for recommending I cover this. And before we go further, if you are new to the channel, I always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first, just to get a baseline on the market, see what's going on, and see how they kind of stack up to the altcoins that we look at. Because you'd be surprised how they respond to the market conditions. So let's go ahead and see how that looks. So Bitcoin is first. And I use TradingView as a, so you can kind of tell here, this is TradingView application. And essentially what I do is I use a 4-hour chart primarily just for an overview, because that gives me the best indicators for the moving averages, right? So the simple moving average, 200, this purple line, and the 50-day moving average, the yellow line, are essentially the two major industry standards that all the, the bots and the whales, they're using these. So we want to get on board with them, right? That's the point I use this here. So or the reason why. So if we look at the yellow line here, or I guess it's orangish line, that's the 50-day moving average. As you can see, the price blew above that, and that's holding currently as a support level. The same thing with the 200-day moving average. This is fantastic. We've got the price action above the 200-day moving average in over a month. It's been over a month since we've seen that. So really good news there. We're hoping that holds, but with it being over 24 hours above, that's a good sign. Same thing happens too with the $42,000 mark. So 42,000 is a major resistance line. We want to be mindful of that, as well as the major support level at 30,000. Now there is a temporary resistance level right now, kind of right at about 41,000 roughly, because the price action did kind of bounce off of that. So we can get past 41 and 42, we'll be in really good shape to see Bitcoin take off. All right, so that is Bitcoin as well as Ethereum. Let's take a look at Ethereum now. Price action is similar in a lot of ways. I mean, it's pretty much going sideways. Unfortunately, we usually see Ethereum take off when Bitcoin does poorly, but with all the indecision in the market over the last few days, couple of weeks rather, Ethereum's kind of just gone sideways as well. So not a lot to note here, except for the fact that it's over the 50-day moving average. It's under the 200, so that is a potential cause for concern. We'll see how it responds to that. But a major resistance level right now is 2,900 even. And also, in case you're not aware, oftentimes even numbers have more tendency of creating support and resistance levels. So that's a little fun fact there I've picked up in my trading days. It's pretty interesting how they have round numbers for the most part, as you can kind of see here in this example. That being said, that is Ethereum on the 4-hour chart. Not much else to really note except for the fact that we hope it takes off. We can get over the 200 and the $2,900 range. We'll be in really good shape to see some good things from Ethereum. Now on to AMP. Now let's take a look at this here. I always go to the 1-day chart first. Okay. Now look at the 1-day chart because I like to identify, cases in point and how it responded to market action previous. In other words, April 17th was the first major Bitcoin sell-off. So let's see how it responded there. It's interesting. Look at this. On the 17th, it actually went up. Now it couldn't hold that for super long because of the fact that, for one, it went up and it had to retrace itself back down. Oftentimes there's a retracement of 50%. In most cases, when you see something move up so fast, because I mean, if you can tell, it may not seem like a lot, but that went up in over, 150% in like 4 or 5 days. So it had to come back down, right? So that's why we saw that. But the bottom line here is that, April 17th, the 22nd was another major one, kind of just had a small red candle. Then the 25th, everything else ramped back up. So bottom line here is that AMP did very well, contrary to Bitcoin's progress in our first major sell-off. Second major sell-off would be May 12th, which is a oh so awesome Elon candle. You can typically find it on all charts. Like there it is, it's one of the larger ones there. So Elon candle drove the price down, tried to correct itself, and then China pulled out on the 18th from Bitcoin with their banking, and we saw this happen right here. That was judgment day number 2 for most of us. And ever since then, it's kind of gone sideways with the state of consolidation. Kind of bounced off the 200-day moving average, but stayed under the 50. And then recently, it took off. So, I mean, really, there's no rhyme or reason on the technicals to tell me why it shot up like it is, because it's really working contrary to Bitcoin. So obviously, there's some good fundamentals that we want to be aware of. So do your own research again, but just strictly on the technicals alone, this is moving contrary to Bitcoin, and it has in the past too. It did very well in the very first major sell-off from Bitcoin, so I can comfortably say that AMP is a good coin, and based on its what it's doing right now in the market, with what we see here so far. Because again, I love coins that move opposite to Bitcoin, right? Because I really hate the fact that Bitcoin controls the market. So this is nice to see this. Okay, so look at the 4-hour chart. Awesome stuff here. So we got the 50 moving average working as a consistent support. The 200 will be a support level soon if and when it comes back up again, or when it does rather, if the price retraces back down to meet it. But the bottom line is we're looking very, very good right now, but it is a bit overextended. Now, and the reason why I say that is because this is a 4-hour chart, and you can see that there hasn't been a strong amount of retracement yet from AMP. Okay, so we want to be mindful of that. In other words, when the RSI is up over 70, that's trigger number 1. Pay attention, right? Doesn't mean you got to sell your position, just means you got to pay attention. Oftentimes, I like to sell my position or trim when the price comes back down under 70. So case in point here, if you look right here, you see RSI pop up over 70, that's right here in this range. But if you would have sold when the price comes back down under 70, it would be somewhere in here or here. Still more profit, more gain, right? So that's kind of the general concept there, is just to not sell as soon as it comes up over 70, but just to be mindful. So we want to pay close attention here and see what's going on. We'll look at the lower chart timeframes to kind of identify that. But for right now, all good things on the 4-hour chart, minus RSI being a little bit overextended. So let's take a look at the 1-hour chart, and we'll probably notice this right away. The Ichimoku cloud tells us, obviously, we're in a green zone, right? We're in a buy zone. So anytime the price comes above the Ichimoku cloud here, it's considered a buy signal. And anytime it's below, it's considered a sell signal, right? So that's a buy signal there. This would have been a sell signal. But again, this is moving contrary to Bitcoin. So honestly, now that we've identified that, you could almost guess that AMP is going to move opposite of what Bitcoin does, right? So oftentimes these things right here, these normal indicators that help us, are kind of working contrary to the norm, if you will, which is really good. It's a good thing. It's just that sometimes the Ichimoku cloud can kind of give us some false signals there in this kind of climate. But key takeaway here is that when it's over, as you can tell, it stays above, and we're currently above the Ichimoku cloud. So just be mindful, if it goes sideways and touches the cloud, you want to wait for it to come back above or drop below, because when it's below, it's considered a sell signal. When it's above, it's considered a buy signal. All right, so that is the State of the Union for AMP on the Ichimoku cloud. Let's go ahead and turn that off. And what we'll do is we'll turn on my favorite indicators here, which is the EMA and VWAP lines. Now, if you're new to the channel, the VWAP line is a volume weighted average price. That's this blue line here. It essentially takes the 24-hour volume and expresses it as a price. So according to the last 24 hours of volume, the price should be at 0.085, whereas the price is at 0.093. So that's a variance of how much? So that'd be roughly about 9%, 10%. Anytime you see a variance over 10% away from the VWAP line, it is cause for concern. It means the price will likely come back down. And in the case in point here, if you see right here with the VWAP line and the highest point, it was at close to 20%. No surprise, it came back down to correct itself right around 10% of the difference. Okay, so we got that big increase followed by a retracement, which makes sense, and now it's coming back up again. So we're obviously still in a bullish trend, and the reason why we can say that is because the EMA line, this red line here, excuse me, is essentially telling us that the price is in bullish territory, because the EMA line is the same lines that you'd have in a MACD, right? A moving average convergence divergence. So when the price action increases on the MACD and makes that convergence, then we get a price action that looks, that pretty much tells us it's moving in a bullish trend or bullish sentiment, right? This is effectively the same thing. It works on the price action. So every time you see the price come up and come back down, it's testing the EMA lines. Look, it keeps testing, and staying above. Every one of these tests here stays above EMA and VWAP at one point. So that tells us we're in bullish territory. Okay. So it's continuing on right now. Just keep in mind that it's a little overextended at this point. So even though we do have some pretty good buy signals, you do want to be mindful of the fact that it could retrace down perhaps a bit further, because it is, again, reaching higher highs and essentially in unknown territory. So it could very well continue on its bull run, but I feel that with it being as extended as it has, we've seen almost 48 hours of increase in price. There is a likelihood of it going sideways for a while and or retracing. Okay, so I hope it doesn't, of course, but oftentimes when you see something like this happen, it can be cause for concern. So me being a conservative trader in this climate, if I were to take entry, I'd be mindful. I'd have a kind of a tighter stop. In other words, I'd be shooting for just say a 6 to 9% gain, followed by a 2 to 3% potential loss, and be okay with that. All right. So again, you want to get into something like this, being okay with the fact that you're going to take a loss, because anytime you buy the top, there's definitely more room for improvement where the price action could continue, but you can also expect to get stopped out a lot quicker and a lot easier. So that being said, just be cautious, be mindful. Let's take a quick look at the 1 minute chart here as well. And yeah, of course, we're above VWAP still. It's trending above and below EMA. And this is how the 1 minute chart works. Oftentimes it'll kind of kick above, kick below, especially in its consolidation periods. Back here on more of a bull run, you'll see it stay above. That's why I kind of prefer the 15-minute chart. And by the way, what I use is I like to look for confirmation before taking entry. So on the 1 minute chart, I oftentimes like to wait for 2 to 3 solid 1 minute green bars above EMA and VWAP before taking entry. And what that is, that's these little yellow lines here. So these are basically indicating to us that we have solid confirmation above EMA and VWAP. All right. Now I have this indicator. This is going to be part of my premium Patreon account as well. I have this VWAP and EMA notification. It can actually send you signals if you set alerts for it. And what it does, it really helps us understand when these things occur, right? So the benefit, of course, is the fact that it tells us, gives us these little signals. So you'd essentially just take a position here and you continue on up. And when you see these purple lines, actually the purple triangles, it pretty much tells us that the price action is over RSI, right? See, it notifies you, tells you you're up over 70 on the RSI, and what you do is you wait for it to come back down right in this range here to sell your position. All right. So again, that's a general concept there, but that'll be available. I'll be able to share that for my premium Patreon account. Of course, I'll be having that soon with my Signal group moving forward. So pay attention there. I'll have that rolled out here within about a week or less. My goal is to get that out this weekend because I've got a lot of subscribers that really need this and really want this because they don't have time to be able to identify these things throughout the day. Thankfully, I do, so I'll be able to provide at least 3 to 5 solid signals per week. So that's kind of what we're looking at here for AMP. So again, back to the 15-minute chart, just to summarize. Don't take entry until the price action is over EMA and VWAP. It is there right now, but just keep in mind the price is overextended. We're at about 10% variance from the VWAP. So until the VWAP catches up, I might recommend you hold off on taking position. I hope that, if you do take position, you just take a smaller position and see where it goes. Be okay with a potential loss because it could come crashing back down. I wouldn't say it should or could, but there is definitely a possibility of that. Right? And if anyone has the fundamentals on AMP, please feel free to include that below. Let us know so we can all learn and grow together. Speaking of learning and growing together, I have a fantastic Telegram community. Feel free to join that as well. Link in the description below if you're interested, and that will essentially help you, get more involved in not only the community, but just the general process of understanding more about crypto. Because there's some really good folks in there that constantly educate others on best practice, including myself. Either way, that is everything there, and I hope you'll have a fantastic rest of your day. Make it a good one, and thanks again for joining me here. Really appreciate all of you. You're very, very awesome. We've got a good group of folks here, so thanks so much for your support. You've shown me fantastic support over the years here, and I can't thank you enough. So without further ado, hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.